Hi, everybody. So there's a lot of new faces here. So let me just introduce myself. I am Syeda Sana Jeff. I used to be a CSM, and now I am the business systems analyst for RepStack. I think one of the key reasons I was able to move into this position was because I enjoy problem solving. Now, I wouldn't say I'm an expert in this, but I would say that this is a field where I think I take a particular interest, and this is somewhere I am constantly looking to grow into, right? So if you want to have a discussion about problem solving skills, now, this is a huge umbrella term, right? And it's very nice to have on your resume as well. You know, we have, in that resume, we have that section of soft skills. So we have time management, we have communication, and we have problem solving skills. How many of you have that on your resume? I do. No one?
I think I also do.
Yeah. So, but we really need to consider what that actually entails, right? And there's a reason why, and even I've gone through a couple of resumes and they have that as well, problem solving skills. There's a reason for that, right? I don't think any of us would underestimate the importance of problem solving skills. And again, across the human species, right, we're separated by class, we're separated by borders, we're separated by geopolitical, conditions. There is one thing that connects us all, and that is, anyone, any guesses?
Water.
Well, I mean,
The
yes,
internet.
water, oxygen, internet, but even in those things, we face this as well. It's problems. I think that's one thing that we all have. Every human, every person, we all have problems. If that there's one thing we can all relate to, it's that. But I think in my experience, the people who actually go out and achieve their goals, their milestones, are people who have actively addressed and worked on their problem solving skills, right? It's one of those skills that is vital in all aspects of our lives, right? Whether that pertains to our everyday lives or our career and our work. Would you guys agree? Right? And the beauty of this particular skill, amongst many skills, is that this has your brain firing on all cylinders, right? Because it engages both the creative part of your brain and the logical part of your brain, right? Now, I don't know how many of you relate to this, but for me personally, the biggest problem about problems is approaching the problem, right? It's accepting that it's there, that we have a problem, and confronting it, right? Because the fact is, a problem existing, whether that's in your personal life, whether it's in your work, in your career, it can be intimidating, especially if you don't really understand it, right? But once you address it, once you start analyzing it, it becomes far less intimidating simply because you understand it now, right? So where do you start? You start by identifying it. What's causing the problem, right? What is the underlying cause? Where is it coming from? Where is it originating from? And you can only get to fixing that once you can, once you know where it came from. Now, there are two ways to do this. You can either address and fix the surface level issue, right? For example, some piece of information, you had to forward some information to a client, right? But that information was wrong. Now, there's two ways to overcome this. One, you can just let them know, hey, I made that mistake, and make sure that that is fixed. But I think it's equally important to figure out why that was wrong in the first place, right? If you forwarded that in wrong information, obviously you must have gotten it from somewhere. So why did that happen? How can you prevent it from happening again? And this is something that I learned from Jeff a little while back. It's asking the 5 whys. Now, they don't have to be 5. They can be more or less, as long as you can get to the root cause of the problem, right? This is just the name of the concept. But I think this is something we can also address right now. So do you guys have any problem that you Does anyone want to participate? Do you guys want to bring up a problem statement, a very simple problem statement, and then we can do this exercise as well? Anyone?
So, are we guys talking about the objection handling, is it?
Sorry?
So we're talking about objections, right?
No, not objections. Whenever you're facing a certain issue, right? What you can do to figure out the root cause. This is a very like practical method that Jeff shared with me and my team a while back, and
So,
it's really helpful.
so basically,
Yes,
as
go
in,
ahead.
whenever you are facing an issue, problem, is it from the prospect, right? When the prospect gives you the problem that he's facing, when he tells you the problem, is that what you're
Well,
talking about?
we're using problem in a more general sense.
Mm,
And Sana, so let's do this. I'm going to be the participant and you're going to be the question. Okay.
sure
So
thing.
I'm going to make a statement. I got up late today, and that is a
Oh.
problem.
Mhm. So a good way to address this would be starting to ask, okay, why did you get up late today?
I got up late today because I hit the snooze button too many times.
All right. Why did you end up hitting the snooze button too many times?
I went to bed late last night.
Why did you go to bed late last night?
I'm adjusting to the new daylight savings time in the United States.
Yes, and I think we can consider that to be the root cause of the problem as well. So
Right. So now what's the solution?
the solution would be to give yourself a little bit of margin. Because daylight saving time is being sort of observed across America and many regions, I think it's only fair that it's going to take a little bit of time, but to start sleeping early. So now when the day starts, you've already moved your clock forward. I think it's only fair that you start working according to that time. And it might take a few days, but you will adjust because you'll be working according to that time moving forward.
And also by readjusting your whole schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I mean, there's lots of solutions, but the key here is what we did is we found the root cause. And so Sana's talking about the right thing. All right. So the root cause is daylight savings time. In this example, the change, 1 hour forward. I know you guys don't do this in Pakistan, but it's a real thing in the United States. And so, yeah, go to bed earlier. Tough it out is kind of what Sana said. Tough it out. You can say it a lot of different ways, but your body is going through a transition. And so the positive thing is in my case, I set 5 different alarms. So I'm hitting the snooze button a lot of times, and finally I will wake up. The other solution would be to go to Google and to Google on how to adjust to daylight savings time. Now, I've never done this. I'm just telling you another solution because I guarantee you somebody has written about how to deal with adjusting the daylight savings time or standard time, whichever one it is. So now let's get a volunteer here, and Sana's going to do this again. And I'm good at picking people, so if you don't volunteer, you will get chosen.
Okay, I can go ahead.
Okay, Anam, you go ahead.
All right. Tell us your problem.
So my problem today is that I feel really cranky
Okay, why do you feel cranky?
because I didn't have breakfast,
Why didn't you have breakfast?
because I did not have the time before my shift to make the breakfast,
Why did you not have the time before your shift?
because I had other home related tasks to do.
All right. Why were you not able to, adjust your time in a way where those home related tasks could also include your breakfast?
So they showed up, some of the tasks showed up out of nowhere.
Hmm.
So I had to do like immediate tasks.
Why did the tasks show up out of nowhere?
Yeah, because they were not in the plan initially.
No, that is why they showed up out of nowhere. But why were these tasks, sort of a surprise to you?
Yeah, because there are some last minute tasks that,
Hmm.
arise and you have to do those.
Fair enough. Here, so I'm assuming the main problem here we're seeing is that there were suddenly changes in your plans in the schedule that you had, designed for yourself before your shift starts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my question, my why would be, why did you not make eating breakfast a priority? So that'd be a question. I don't need an answer. Another why would be, and it's kind of a what, but what caused you to prioritize the tasks? Why did you prioritize the tasks over eating breakfast when you know yourself well enough that when you don't eat breakfast, you get cranky? So I'm just showing you different ways that you can keep asking why. And so answer one of those two. It really doesn't matter which one.
So maybe I thought that I can push myself without eating a breakfast and have a good day.
Okay, so what's the solution going forward?
I shouldn't do that. I should stick to eating my breakfast every day.
All right, I know these seem like really simple examples, but we want to give you some simple examples first. So Salman, you volunteered as well. All right, now
Yeah.
give us a business example.
Yeah, so mine is that I'm feeling a bit demotivated at work these days.
Okay, Sana, you want to take it or I'll take it? Whichever.
Sure. Why are you feeling demotivated these days?
It's a bit of like an unending cycle. I feel that I do the same task repetitively, and that's kind of making me lose interest in work.
Why are you, why are you doing repetitive tasks? Like, why do you feel like your tasks are getting repetitive?
Uh, I guess because I've outgrown them a bit mentally, or maybe in a professional capacity. Because if you're doing the same task on the Go High level, if you're doing the same task on WordPress, there comes a time where you want more from your client, and I feel that's where I am at right now.
What
Why
task?
have you not been
Tell
able?
us what tasks you're doing so we have context there.
Okay, so these days I've been working on fixing plugins on WordPress. I've been fixing up the copies on a few websites. I've been editing some photos. This is something I've been doing for maybe 2 to 3 weeks now, and it's getting a bit monotonous.
I'm sorry I'm laughing, but I'm going to jump in here and I'm going to tell this to everybody. Life gets monotonous if you allow it to get monotonous, okay? And doing something for 2 or 3 weeks, let me give you a perspective. I'm 62 years old. Okay, so if you live to be 62 years old, that's what, another 40 years for you?
Yeah.
And if you divide that into 6-week or even 4-week cycles, that means you're going to be pretty much bored your whole life.
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't want that.
Yeah.
All right, so I know we're going off on a tangent here, but this is something I think I see across the board with the RepStack team. And as a advisor to RepStack, it's like, how come people are getting bored so quickly?
I guess it's a generational thing, Jeff. I feel like our generation has this new, it's a shiny thing concept. Whatever the shinier thing is, they're more attracted to that. And my example was completely hypothetical. I haven't been doing these things. I've been doing
no, that's fine. It's a great discussion though. Okay, so stop blaming your generation. It's a choice. Okay, everybody needs to understand. You know, I'm of a generation. Azar sitting on here, he's of a generation. Sana's a different generation. And based on what I know about the three of us, we've accepted that you're going to be doing repetitive tasks your whole life.
Yeah.
Okay. But what's more important in this case, so now I'm going to come back to the whys. So now that we understand the context, and sorry, Sana, for stealing this one away from you, but I think this is a real good learning moment for everybody. And you and I didn't prepare this. So why are you getting bored after just 2 or 3 weeks?
Me?
Yes, back to you.
I don't know. I don't know because I'm not actually experiencing this, so I really can't say.
Make it up.
Okay. I guess I'm getting bored because I've been used to working on different dynamic cross-functional things, working on different cross-functional teams. And I feel that I've been wearing a lot of different hats across my career. Having been focused on only one team, on only one task makes me bored because I'm not used to it.
Do you have a client yet?
Yes, I do. And that's why I feel that maybe I'm not the right match for it.
Okay, so now I'm going to divert, or I'm going to still use the why. Why have you not discussed this with your client?
He doesn't really have the time for this kind of stuff.
Okay. Why doesn't he have the time?
Because he's focused more on the business development side. I have a supervisor that I can talk to, but obviously she answers to him as well.
Okay, so why haven't you talked to that person?
I've been meaning to, but I really don't know how to get it into words.
Okay, so let's stop there. Now, what's the solution? The solution there is, Salman, is my suggestion is you talk to this person.
Yeah.
You send them you talk to them first, then you send them a recap email. This is what we discussed. And you make this not threatening. You know, so, you know, I'm getting really bored with just doing the same repetitive task. And I have the skills to do other things. For example, see, I'm writing this email for you right now. For example, I'm a good copywriter. I'm a good prospector. I have experience in other jobs that I've done or things that I like to do that I think I can bring to the table.
Yeah.
And then, so that's the conversation that you just had with that supervisor, whatever their title is. And now you are sending a confirmation email over to them. So now it's in writing. It's not threatening. So don't ever write if I don't get a different job, I'm going to quit. You know, that's not what I'm saying here, but there are people that have written that and then wondered why they don't have a job the next day. So you got to keep that in mind. Because here's the thing. Azar, how long have you and I known each other?
Going on to 2 years almost, I think.
All right, 2 years. So do you believe that you could realistically list 10 skills that I'm good at or that I have experience with?
Yeah, I should be able to point out in the general direction.
General. Can you list 10 specific skills that I have?
Yeah, no, that's going to be hard.
So there's my point is, okay, great. You showed up at your new client, right? And you've been working for them for a few weeks or a few months. And you somehow believe that they remember what the heck was in your resume or your presentation video. We don't. I mean, here I picked on Azar because we've known each other almost 2 years, you know, and he can tell you generally what I am good at, what I do, but not specifics. And so here's the thing, Salman. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I grew up in a very small town in Minnesota, okay? Small to me is 884 people, okay? So that's a micro town, all right? No stoplights in the town when I grew up there, all right?
That's one brown family.
What's that?
That's one Brown family.
Yeah. So then from there, I joined the Navy right out of high school. In the Navy, I had 5 different types of jobs over a 14-year period. All right. Then I owned a digital marketing agency for 9 years. And I did every piece of it, from building websites to writing content and everything in between. Okay. Yeah. And then I spent 3 years coaching a digital marketing company as their lead coach. At the same time, I run a business called Diverse Recruiting Expert with my business partner. Okay, so that was all on my resume when I turned it into you, Salman, 5 years ago, 3 months ago, whatever the time frame was. How many of those, and in those, what did I learn chasing chickens on the little farm I grew up on in Minnesota? You don't know. You don't know. So if you don't express, where I'm going with this is, if you don't express to your client, I have other skills, I want to learn new things, is there something that you want me to work on? Right? Because I guarantee you, every one of your clients would love some help, but they don't think about what you can do.
I agree.
We see this so often with associates that, they raise their hand, I'm getting bored with my client, and we're like, did you remind them that you'd love to become an Excel expert, or you'd like to learn how to do graphics or whatever? And the answer almost always is no. So how can you expect that person, in my example, how can you expect to know enough about me to ask me if I want to do it? You don't. So let's flip this coin around and you tell them. Tell them 2 things that you're good at and 1 thing you'd like to learn. You might be surprised. They're going, oh, thank God that somebody wants to do this crazy part of the job that we do every day. Somebody actually likes listening to the voicemail. Somebody actually likes reading and sorting and organizing emails.
Yeah.
Azar's laughing, but Azar has a person that reads his emails today. I have a person that reviews my emails today, because that's a skill. See, I know Azar well enough. That's not something we enjoy at all.
That's something that as a part of your work life, you tend to do and do really good, and you learn how to do it. You necessarily don't love it. I hated checking my emails because I was so glued to them throughout my digital marketing agencies for 13 years that 8 months ago, finally, when I got the opportunity of setting up a process where I don't have to check my emails anymore, I haven't gone back since then, unless it's like on my iPhone, I have to kind of log into my email and verify something, but that's it to the extent of emails now. And but it took some time to get there. It took a lot of repetition. And what makes all of this repetition and this grind time that you guys are all in right now worthwhile is mindset, guys. Mindset is so important over here. You'll breeze through this time. You figure out a way to enjoy this stuff. If it's the repetition or if it's the night or whatever it is, your mindset, you can bend that. There's this book I'm listening to the second time called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. And he's like this crazy, superhuman who came from huge adversity and became a 3-time Navy SEAL. I don't know if Jeff's read that, but might be a good read for you too, Jeff. It's got just a little explicit language, just so you guys know, but the mindset thing he talks about, he's like, I did all of these ultra marathons, and he's the ultra marathoner of marathoner, Navy SEAL. He went through Hell Week. There's something called on the SEALs, Jeff, 3 times to get into the SEALs, and just crazy human stories. And what he brings down to how he was able to achieve all of these crazy things, well, he's like, the only thing that's the most important thing is mindset. That you just turn this thing around that you're doing right now, and you think of this as a stepping stone towards where you ultimately want to be, you automatically, just by a few seconds of thinking, you've made that day better for yourself. And then, and there's going to be times like that. For example, I think this was back in 2006. I really wanted to be a manager at Best Buy Canada. It's one of the largest electronic retailers in the United States, based out of Minnesota, Jeff. And so I'm working with these guys. I'm still a salesman, and I was supposed to do all of these things to get to the manager level. And I've been in this fast track future leaders program for the last 6 months. My sales record, I have to still keep that up to date. Like I have to, because if you want to be a manager, you have to be really good at what you're going to be managing. So I was keeping that up and doing all these extracurricular activities. It was getting a bit too much for me, right? And I'm like, I'm looking at my manager, like, when is that promotion coming, and when's that promotion coming? And for me, I think I went through that time with the right mindset, and towards the end I was getting frustrated, but you never know what's around the corner. So just within I think next week I got the call. I became a really fast track manager. I did that for the next 2 years. I got my ass kicked again for the first year, because grass is never always greener on the other side. So I went into that role, and now I have all new set of challenges that I have to overcome, and it's not pretty picture. But so you overcome those things, but the mindset is going to be critical here, guys. Stay positive, stay up to date, learn. If you don't know what that is, like, I would highly recommend Can't Hurt Me. It's a great book on mindset. You can apply that towards whatever you're doing on a day-to-day basis. So that's my 2 cents on it. And just on the grind part, where you have to do things over and over again, my digital marketing agency, which is still running here in Calgary, it's been operational for the last 13 years. And I did pretty okay for myself, right? I've been working from home since 2011. And what Salman was just saying, like, he's doing some rock star things. Whoever that fictional person Salman put out, that he's designing these pages and he's building these funnels and stuff like that. That's what it reminded me was, one man's trash is another man's baggage, right? So that's some super cool things that we're all already doing in our lives, like if we tell people from outside. So we have to be grateful about that as well. And then just turn our mindset around for guiding us through these times, where once you do get through these times, I can promise you, it took me 13 years to stumble upon RepStack. I would have never been able to do that had I not grinded my way since 2008 in Agua Entrepreneurial Solutions. That's the actual registered name of my agency here in Calgary. Had I not put those 13 years in, RepStack would have never came about, right? So that's what it is, guys. And right now is the time. You guys are all in your 20s, mid 20s, and right now is the time to build up that work ethic. Have a big dream, outrageous, crazy dream, and think that everything that you're doing from your 8 hours of work every day is a stepping stone to where you want to get to. Everything becomes really, really easy overnight, inshallah.
So let's
Yeah,
bring
but-
this all the way back
Sorry,
to
go
problem
ahead.
solving. Then I'm going to hand this back to Sana. Again, we're going to, here's an issue. Most of you guys are going to be working for clients that are 20 years older than you, 15 years older. And so they didn't grow up with the world's library in their pocket, right? They didn't have a smartphone. They didn't have Google, or Google was just starting to come out. So they're not nearly as adept at learning as you guys are. So in their mind, they give you a project and think, well, when I learned that, it took me 3 months to learn it. And you guys are able to learn it in 3 weeks, because you got Google, you got all these different access. You didn't have to go down to the library, talk to the librarian, check out the book at the library to come home to read it about whatever question you had. So I just want everybody to keep that in mind. But even if you're having mindset issues, the 5 whys still work. No, so Sana, let's go back into it. You know, I'm struggling staying excited about my job.
Right. Why are you struggling about staying excited about your job?
I'm doing the same thing over and over.
Why do you feel like you're doing the same thing over and over again?
Well, every day I get up and I work on building links back to the website.
Right. And why do you feel like your work has gotten, repetitive?
Because at this point, I'm an expert at building links back to the website.
Why have you, I want to approach it in a different way, but if we're keeping it at whys, why have you not spoken to your supervisor that, this is something that you're expert in, or if this is something that, you want to talk, there's something else that you're passionate about?
Okay, so I'm going to take it a little bit different direction. And the question I would have asked Hannah is, Jeff, why do you believe you're an expert? So I'm going to answer that question as if Sana had asked it to me. Well, I'm really good at this. And then the question Jeff would ask would be, so every link that you build, if I'm understanding this correctly, is working, getting your website up, and you've studied every master out there on backlink building, and you're as good as they are. And of course, I'm going to have to say, well, not really. And then my response is going to be, so you're really not an expert. You're a novice claiming to be an expert. Okay? Because you know how to do one thing over and over doesn't make you an expert at doing that. That makes you an expert at doing that one thing over and over. You know, think about copywriters that have been writing copy for 30 or 40 or 50 years that are still changing how they write copy all the time because they're looking at the environment, they're looking at what's going on in the world, and they're looking at how to improve. And that's the beauty of, again, having Google available to you. You know, how do I become an expert? Insert whatever, link building, go read the top 10 blog posts on it, and I guarantee you, you're going to learn something you didn't know. So a little bit of the mindset of the generation is, I'm good at this, so I must be an expert. No, that just means you're good at it. One thing. Pick your field and get to be an expert. So if you're a backlink builder, be the expert backlink builder, not the I'm a novice claiming to be an expert. So that's why I would take it in that direction, Sana.
Understandable, but I do want to double down on your initial point as well. I think especially with the current environment of our work structures and the fact that we're moving on to remote work, and I feel like across the globe, startup culture especially is being really heavily supported. Entrepreneurs are being supported. If you feel, and this is something that I would speak from my own experience, if there is a field where you find yourself being passionate about, even if you don't, you wouldn't say you're particularly good at it, but that this is something that you are passionate about, I would highly suggest that you talk to your supervisor, you talk to your boss, you talk to whoever's managing you, because you will find that most of the times, maybe even 70 to 80% of the times, your supervisor, your manager is going to appreciate the fact that this is something not only that you're passionate about, but this is something that you're willing to learn and chase after, and the fact that you were able to communicate it to them. These are skills that are going to be appreciated. And like Jeff said, they're going, sometimes they don't even realize this is a role that they needed, or you performing this particular task is actually going to help their work and their agency and their company.
Yeah, so my assistant, Stephanie, some of you've met her. So what we do once a week is we look at all of my tasks, and she tries to identify 2 or 3 things that she has the skills to do, or she has a passion to learn about it. So she's going to go learn it and then take it away from me. So there's a whole process here. I'm totally agreeing with what Sana's saying. You've got to take it on. But the second part of it is if there's something you want to do and it's not in your current job, start studying it now. Even if your employer doesn't have that opportunity for you, because there may be a time in your future where you want to change positions. And I'm going to keep with my example. I'm tired of what I've been doing, running Go high level and whatever, but I've spent the last 3 months becoming an expert at backlink building. I've watched 40 hours of videos. I've read 400 articles. How many hours does it take to become an expert? Have anybody know? There's actually a number.
10,000 hours, I
10
think.
years.
10,000, I think.
10,000.
10,000 hours, okay? That's 10,000 hours of study and doing it. Okay, so how long is 10,000 hours? 5 years. Okay, 5 years. Spending 8 hours a day learning and studying that one thing. So keep in mind, there's a lot to do. Anyway, if you want to change course, put yourself in a position when you come back to your CSM, let's say 6 months from now, and say, I love my job that I'm doing, but I'm ready to move on to something new. And I've been studying X, Y, Z. Can I get a client that needs that type of talent? Don't just leave RepStack, right? The mistake often made is, well, I don't think RepStack has a place for me. And we have so many different kinds of clients, so many different types of jobs that you could live here 3 to 5 years and never duplicate the position that you're in. But use the 5 whys, ask a bunch of questions. And so now Sana and I are going to take turns answering your questions about problem solving. So please ask, or as I always tell Sana, we're going to pick on people. So
Do you want to pick someone or should I?
fall in love with somebody.
Anyone who wants to volunteer?
Okay, guys, a reminder, you're supposed to have your cameras on. Cameras on.
How about Maria? Maria Ali. Maria, you there? All right. In that case, Aisha Ikram. Hi.
Yeah, sure. Hi.
Yes. Do you have any questions?
I was okay, so I had most of these questions that were asked were hypothetical, right? So I just wanted to ask if you're having like a real-time crisis, which is not hypothetical, it's true. Which so who do you think should be the like the best person to go to when you're working with a client? In this case, not talking about this management, specifically the office, but generally. So is it best likely to be your manager or somebody like a colleague maybe of yours? Is that a good approach to go to somebody who's working on your position on the same level? Ask them from their experience. Is that a good approach to solving a problem if you have something?
Right. I think this would also depend on what kind of crisis you're having, the nature of the crisis you're having, right? So even if generally speaking, I would highly recommend, reaching out to people. So whether that's someone who's in a higher position than you, who you would consider to be your mentor, that is very helpful. And also, reaching out to colleagues whose opinions you trust, right? And then weighing your options. So they're all going to give you not necessarily suggestions. I don't think that always helps, getting suggestions from everybody, but feedback that might help you get more perspective on the problem that you're facing.
Okay.
Do you have a specific example?
In my mind, okay, so I could like share something that I was facing recently. So I was offboarded by a client, and I was very worried. I was worried that maybe I was not performing well. So I asked him to please at least tell me what's wrong. Why did you offboard me and all? So he was all about, it's not your progress. It's just on my end that I cannot manage everything well. It was about expenses and how his daughter was, had to get admission in university, and it was just not adding up all well for him. So he said, it was my personal reason. I just have to offboard you and all. But I was still so worried that I still haven't made my peace with the fact that I was offboarded by a client for whom I was working really well for, putting all the efforts that I could, but he still offboarded me. So, like I was kind of heartbroken, and then I still am, So I just think
So
that
in that particular answer, Sana, correct me if I'm wrong, that's where you should be talking to your CSM, because remember, a couple things have happened here. How long were you in that position?
like 20 days. Yeah.
Only 20 days. Okay, so that's a struggle there. So now
Yeah.
come back to confidence. Are you confident that you're good at what you do?
Yes, I did, because the marketing campaigns I designed for him they're still up and running. He's still using my work and he's happy with it. Yes.
Okay, so everybody talks about generational thing. Boy, the millennials and your generation have a confidence issue. If you're good at what you do, and think about it. Okay, I'm this client now. I think you're doing a great job. I just ran out of money. Here's all my excuses, but I just don't have the money to pay you. The thing you should be doing is separating it out. Okay, he doesn't have money, and he said I did a good job. Well, let's focus on I did a good job, and let's go find another person to do a good job. And put it away. I like a counselor one time told me, imagine a little box, put this issue in the box, close the box, and put it up high in one of your closets in your home. And leave it there.
Yeah, that works.
Right? Because otherwise, if we don't do that, if the box is still laying on the table, every day we're going to open up the box and look inside. And this is what your brain has been doing, right? Oh my gosh, there must be something wrong with me. Because we're, not all of us, but most of us are, struggling with those kinds of things. And this is not you alone, in my case, owning a business, we had this is a true story. We had a major event with one of our best clients yesterday that we made a mistake that could end up in a lawsuit. Well, last night I had one of two choices. I could worry about it all night, or in this case, I put it in the box and set it on the table till tomorrow. And so I got to enjoy my evening last night without fretting about what today was going to hold. Now, in a couple of hours here, I've got that meeting with that client. So guess what? I'm going to open up the box. I'm going to do the best to resolve the problem. And then hopefully we get a resolution. And then I'm going to put it in that little box and put it up in the closet. And
Yes, okay. I really like how you put it all, and how you made it sound so relatable. That helps. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So we've talked a lot about problem solving, and Sana, I know you had some probably other prepared material. Did we get through your prepared material?
Yeah, I think we got through the most important bits.
I try not to steal the show, but sometimes I can't help myself. So I apologize.
No, I think it's really important. I think you're saving the show right now.
All right. Who else has a question about a problem they're currently struggling with, one they struggled with in the near past, that you can give us a little bit of context. And I remember Sana's going to pick on somebody here in a second if you don't ask.
You can either volunteer or you'll have to, come up with a question on the fly.
This sounds like a classroom to me, and I really enjoy this.
It is a training session. Right. Should we pick another volunteer, Jeff?
Yeah. Pick somebody.
Jovita. Am I pronouncing your name right? Can you hear me? I might be mispronouncing her name. Jovita, is it?
Yes, it's Jovita. Jovita, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Hi.
Hello. You have been volunteered as tribute.
All right, so I have a question. I think everyone can relate with it. Is that sometimes I would know something and I'll be frequently doing it, but at some point where I would be asked that question and my mind would I would have a brain freeze and everything would get foggy for a while, but it will take me a while to reconnect my memory and then tell, but I don't want to know it, although I know.
Okay, was this a question asked of you?
Sorry.
We have a
Might be
pretty
my
big,
internet.
I think we have a big lag going on here.
I think her question, from what I
Many times
understand,
in my
is-
career, of course, fought it on and asked the question.
Yeah, I think I'll quickly summarize her question because I think there might be some internet issues. So, and I relate to this deeply on a spiritual level, that you would be doing something and you know how to do it and you've been doing it for a while, but then somebody asks you about it and then you're completely blank. Like, oh, wait, I know this. Why do I not know the answer?
Well, one of the things that, if you do some reading about it right now, especially, they call it the COVID fog, and because of COVID, and it's been over 2 years with this whole, everybody's living in an unknown right now. I mean, we always live in an unknown, but this is a way more unknown. I can tell you back in April of 2020, I was having conversations with my team about, is the world going to end with COVID? We didn't know how good or bad we were going to have it. But what's happened, and this is my true story, I have that exact problem, Jovita, is, people ask me questions that I know I'm an expert on, and sometimes I just cannot answer the question. So I'm just honest about it. I'm just like, I'm struggling right now, and I'll get you an answer in a couple hours or tomorrow or whatever. And just own up to it. Don't try to bluff your way through it. I think bluffing your way through it is the biggest mistake you can make. Because one of the things that I want to know, if you're my associate, is that I can trust you. One of the first things I'll tell you when you come to work for me is, please do not exaggerate. Because exaggeration causes significant issues. We had a lot of negative responses yesterday from our clients. I mean, it was over 20 or 30. And I said, okay, great, let me go do the research. And I come back and find out that was only 4 negative comments by the client yesterday. And you're telling me it was 20 or 30. You just lost my trust. Because I was scared about losing my business. If I had 20 or 30 dissatisfied clients in one day, oh my gosh, something's terrible going wrong. If you told me I had 4, I'd still be concerned, but I wouldn't be freaking out at the same level that I would be if, it truly was 20 or 30 clients were unhappy in a day. So be honest. Don't make it up. If you can't remember it, just say, give me a second here. I'm struggling, because it's happening to everybody. It's happening to me, and I'm not afraid or shy to tell you guys all here. I'm going into a meeting here in a few minutes with owners of the company. And, I have that same concern is, will I go blank during this meeting? Because I've been struggling with that a little bit more than I ever have in the past. So just ask questions, be honest, be truthful, don't exaggerate, because you're there to be a resource. And remember, you can always Google it.
Yeah, that would be, I think, the strongest advice here. Even when you know something, if you just refresh it and you read up on it a little bit, especially before a meeting, if you know that this question is going to come up, it helps a lot.
All right, thank you.
All right, I think it's time to wrap it up unless anybody else has another question.
I think we're done. I think everyone might have questions if we, ask them specifically, but I think we're done for the most part.
Yeah, ask your CSM. If you've got a concern, you gotta, one of the things that RepStack does different than any other virtual assistance provider out there is we have a layer in here called customer service managers that work with the clients, but they also work with you to be successful. And so when you're struggling with anything, that's your first stop. Stop, chat with them. They're going to help you figure it out. If it's a training issue, they're going to track down how to get you trained on a certain thing that you may not know how to do, whatever the case may be. So, Azar, since you're here, any words of wisdom before we wrap this up?
No, I think we already covered most of these things. I'm going to try and do one of these every month, Sana, so keep me posted on these. But yeah, overall, I think you guys are all in the right place. Just, keep an eye on the person who's behind the wheels. You need to have a conversation with yourselves here and there. So, and make sure that you guys are moving in the right direction. I think the opportunities at hand right now for some of us, like what Jeff was saying, right? Like there's two ways of looking at it. COVID got so many people down, but COVID, we're a COVID company, RepStack, right? So there's so many amazing success stories like that. So, you can choose to focus on the negative, or you can choose to focus on what's working. And that's how I've been. And it's been like really, like I'm very much like that when Jeff, in that regard to Jeff, where, Jeff's got this high stake meeting that's coming up. And, a lot of people are dependent on that meeting because, Jeff's got a certain number of employees and certain number of stakeholders that these guys are responsible to. But there's nothing you can do about it. You can just go in and solve the problem to the best of your ability. But it doesn't, like, what's the point of stressing out about it or losing sleep over it or things like that? Just put it in the box, put it away. So, just focus on that mindset. I think where we're headed, it's amazing. And your CSMs are always here. I'm always available. Reach out to us. For us, it's really you are the resource here because our goal is at RepStack is to be really a platform and have upwards of 5,000 people on this platform, from clients to associates like you guys, and you guys should be able to build your careers on the platform where you have the control that you want. You set the target of the money that you want to make, and we get you there over the next 2 to 5 years. And with the type of clients that you guys want to work and things like that, right? And where you want to work from, all of those things. So that's kind of what the exciting things that we're thinking about and working on these days. And I think where you guys are, like what I said to Salman earlier, that just try explaining something like this to what you're doing right now to a college student, or or maybe even most of your peers, You know, the job that you guys are doing, working with American clients in marketing, digital marketing, cutting edge, and doing these cool things. Even on the sales side, our guys are doing amazing. So, you know, these things are like, people would be wowed by this, not depressed by it. I can promise you that, because they'll be like, this is like a hotshot cowboy type job here, man. This is what I want, and work from home all the time. And, you know, but control the other aspects. And I think mindset's going to help you there. So I'm confident we're seeing so many amazing things. And, you know, I'm hopeful that you guys will get to where you want to in life with as much collaboration with us as possible. All right, guys, have a wonderful day. I think that's it from me.
Thank you so
I think
much.
we're done.
Thanks,
Yeah.
guys.